Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, today's topic, inshallah, is about the personality of the Muslim. Is the Muslim supposed to be an active person, influential, getting involved, or is he supposed to be passive, indifferent, doesn't want to be bothered? هل المسلم إيجابي أم سلبي? So that's what we're going to talk about today. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is expecting from us as Muslims? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. You are the best of the nations raised up for the benefit of mankind. The best of nations. Why? It's not just because you're the chosen people like some other religion. No. Because you enjoin what is right. You order what is right. And forbid the wrong. And believe in Allah. When you read that verse, it's very interesting. Look at the order that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put the different things. He started by saying that you order what's right and you forbid what's wrong, and then you believe in Allah. He didn't start by saying you believe in Allah and you do this and you do that. No, he's saying the proof that you're believing in Allah is that you're going to order what's right and forbid what's wrong. Then you're a believer in Allah. If you don't do those two, then you're not a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the role of the Muslim. When they see something wrong, they speak up. And when they see somebody asking for advice, they tell them to do what's right from the standpoint of Allah, not from personal benefit. And the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, either you enjoin good and forbid evil, or else Allah will send His punishment to you and you will supplicate to Him, but He won't respond. So if you don't do that, Allah will send a punishment. And you make dua and you say, I'm making dua, I'm doing salah, I'm reading Quran, all of that, but you're not ordering doing good and forbidding what's evil. So your dua is not answered. Your prayer, you're asking Allah, but it's not answered. One of the companions asked the Prophet ﷺ, he said, will we be destroyed even if the righteous ones are amongst us? So are we going to get hurt if there is good people around us? So the Prophet ﷺ said, yes, if corruption increases. Because if corruption increases, that means the Muslims that are in that age, at that time, they are not doing their duty. They are not 100% truly Muslim. There is a part missing in their iman. They are not ordering what's right and telling people don't do what's wrong. And it was said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Jibreel alayhi salam, Gabriel, ordered him to destroy a town. Destroy it. Evil people. He told them destroy that town. So Jibreel said, oh Allah, amongst them there is your servant such and such. He always pray for you and all of that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, start with him, because for his face never changed with disapproval to what has been going around him. He looked around him, it didn't bother him. He doesn't want to get involved. It's not, I don't want headache. I want to be loved by everybody. I want to be friend with everybody. So he see haram around him all the time, and he never say a word. It doesn't bother him. He doesn't mind. So okay. So Allah said, start with him. Start with the one that didn't care. So the Muslim's supposed to care about the community. You're supposed to care about the whole Muslim community, not me. Not yourself only, but everybody around you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةً لَا تُصِيبَنَّ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْكُمْ خَاصَّةً. And fear a turmoil, difficulty, which may not affect those of you in particular who are unjust. So if you don't order what's right, there will be difficulty, and it's going to be for everybody. So when you're stopping what's wrong, and you make sure that what's right is done in the community, you're protecting yourself. So be selfish. You want to protect yourself and your family and your children? Then make sure the environment, make sure the community is safe. The community, everybody's doing what's right and doing what's wrong, and everybody's saying, don't do what's wrong. And the Prophet ﷺ gave us an example about how that affect the community. He said, people will get on a ship. Some people will be on the upper deck, and some people will be in the lower deck. So the people in the lower deck, every time the ship is traveling in the river, every time they need water, they go up to the upper deck so they can get some water and get down. So they decided, talked with each other, and they said, if we make a hole in the ship, then we can get water, and we don't bother the people in the top, and we'll be fine. If the people in the top does not stop them, everybody will drown. Everybody. The ship is not going to go down halfway, so the people in the bottom are going to drown, and the people on the top are going to be fine, say, oh, it's their problem. No. So the beautiful example of the Prophet ﷺ is telling us, if you don't stop the evil and the harm in the community, it's not going to affect only the bad people. It's going to affect the whole community. So we have to stop it. Anytime you see in the Muslim community something wrong, speak up. But gently. Speak up. Don't just accept it. Don't say, it's none of my business. I don't want to get involved. They're going to hate me. And Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, he said, if a sin is committed in private, it only harms the one that does it. But if it is committed in public and no one objects and changes it, it will harm everyone. Because the people who are half believer, when they say, hey, he did that sin and nobody said anything. He was walking around drinking alcohol and nobody said anything. He was stealing and nobody said anything. So maybe it's okay. Maybe all of us should do that. So when it's done in public and nobody stops it or changes it, then it's going to affect everyone eventually. And there is so many examples in the Quran and in the Sunnah about people who were active personality, took action, didn't stay passive and say, I'm not going to be bothered, I don't want to get involved. In the Quran, in the chapter of Yasin, Surah Yasin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent 3 messengers, 3 prophets at the same time to a town. 3 at the same time. And they were preaching them, trying to convince them to become believer in Allah, doing everything they can. And they were refusing. Finally, the people got tired of those prophets and they decided, excuse me, and decided we're going to kill all 3 of them. All 3. There was one person who was a believer and he lived on the edge of the town. When he heard that, he came running. And the Quran tells us, وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اتَّبَعُوا الْمُرْسَلِينَ. And a man from the farthest part of the town came running. He said, "Oh my people, follow the messengers." So the people, what did they do? They got mad at that person because he's telling them something they didn't like. They beat him and stepped on him until they killed him. They stepped on him till they killed him. But he took action. And then Allah tells us in the Quran that Allah rewarded him by sending him to Jannah. And he said, I wish my people knew the reward I'm getting so they follow the prophets. He took action. He didn't say, hey, it's the whole community. I'm going to stay away. I'm going to be just, quiet and say nothing. He stepped in. He took action. He had an active personality, not passive. And even not just human beings are active. If you read in the Quran the story of Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam, the Prophet of Allah, Solomon, he was traveling with his army, going to a battle, huge army. Sayyidina Sulaiman had so much power, Allah gave him, no other prophet got that kind of power. He was unique in that sense. So he had his whole army traveling, and they came to a valley where there was a village for ants. Ants. So one of the ants saw the army coming. She jumped to action. It jumped to action. It didn't sit and say, oh, let me hide, and that's it. The Quran tells us, the ant says, قالت نملة يا أيها النمل ادخلوا مساكنكم لا يحطمنكم سليمان وجنوده وهم لا يشعرون. Oh, you ants, enter your dwellings, enter your homes, so that Sulaiman and his army would not definitely crush you while they are not aware. So it's not they're going to crush us intentionally. We're so tiny, nobody sees us. So an ant took action. She felt danger for the community, and she stepped up. That ant, it stepped up and took action. And Sulaiman, Allah gave him the power of understanding the language of all creature. So he smiled because he understood what the ant said. And he thanked Allah. Then he ordered his army to go around the village, the whole army, around the village of the ant. So think about yourself as a Muslim. Can't you be better than an ant? Can't you be involved in your community and making sure that your community is safe? An ant did that. So what about us Muslims who have the Quran and our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam? We should be able to do much more than that. And in the battle of Badr, the first battle that the Muslim fought, the battle of Badr, the Prophet ﷺ took the army and they got out of the Medina, the city where they lived. They got out and they went to Badr. And there was a well, a huge well that people drink from. So they camped, the Prophet ﷺ gave order to camp before the well. And everybody started to get off their, wherever they're riding, and start to establish camp. But again, a Muslim is always active, is always thinking of the danger for his community. One of the companions, his name is Al-Habab ibn al-Mundhir, radiallahu anhu. Al-Habab went to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, O Messenger of Allah, is your opinion based on revelation from Allah and order from Allah? Or is it war tactics and strategies? So the Prophet ﷺ said, no, it's war tactics and strategies. So he said, then this is not a good place. We should camp after the well, so we can drink and they cannot drink, so they will be thirsty when they're fighting. So the Prophet ﷺ ordered the army to move in front of the well and have the well behind them. He could have said, hey, this is the Prophet ﷺ. I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to get involved. Maybe he's going to be mad at me. No. He spoke up, but look at the way he talked. He was gentle. He was not rude. He was not vulgar in the way he's talking to the Prophet ﷺ. So that's the way we give advice. That's the way we tell people, don't do this or do that. By being gentle, then people are interested in listening to you. If we are rude and vulgar, they are going to continue what they're doing just because the way you ask them, just to make you irritated. And you're going to be punished for that. So be gentle, but don't stay quiet. If you see something wrong, speak up. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسَهُمْ. Surely Allah does not change what is in a people until they change what is in themselves. If you look at what Allah said, He said people, qawm, a whole community. He didn't say individual. He said the community is supposed to change itself. So whoever see wrong, he speaks. whoever tell people advice, tell them what's right. So it's a community. So we have to make sure that the community is doing right and staying away from what's wrong. And even you look at it, I look at it from me personally. I had many experiences in my life. But one of them, one day 20 years ago, I was coming down an overpass and getting on Central Expressway in the area of Mountain View and all of that. Getting down the overpass and getting on Central Expressway. When I was at the top of the overpass, there was a green light and a car was coming. Central Expressway is 45 miles an hour. So a car was coming full speed and going south, and on the other side, a bicyclist going south, same direction. And then the bicyclist, all of a sudden, decided to turn left. And he turned left. And he came in front of the car, and the car couldn't stop, and hit him. And he flew in the air, 10 feet in the air, and landed on the asphalt. No movement. Just landed like that. So I got down the overpass. I had a cell phone. It was in the early days of cell phone. I picked up the phone and called 911 and told them to send an ambulance and all of that, and I hang up. In those days, cell phones were not connected to the 911, so they couldn't tell the number that's calling or who's calling and all of that. And I said, hey, I have so much to do today. I don't want to be involved. I don't want to be bothered. I did the right thing. Ambulance is going to come and police and all of that, and left. Kept driving, going to work, and it bugged me. All the way driving, something inside me just kept telling me, this is wrong, this is wrong. And then I remembered the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says, وَلَا تَكْتُمُوا الشَّهَادَةَ وَمَنْ يَكْتُمُهَا فَإِنَّهُ آثِمٌ قَلْبَهُ. And do not conceal testimony or evidence, and whoever conceals it, his heart is surely sinful. So I remember that. And I said, I don't want to be a sinful person. So I picked up the phone when I got to work and I called 911 and I said, I called like half an hour ago and I reported an accident in such and such and such. They said, yes, we have that. I said, I just want to give you my name and phone number in case you need a witness. There was nobody around at the time of the accident. And I gave them my name and phone number. And they came and got my testimony and all of that stuff. But the key thing, do what's right, what Allah is ordering you to do right. Just imagine, if you are the one driving the car, wouldn't you love that people will do what Allah said? Because you go to the police and now all of a sudden the guy driving the bicycle, by the way, he was safe, the guy driving the bicycle. Nothing happened to him, alhamdulillah. But the guy riding the bicycle, he's going to go to the police station and say, no, it was green light for me and he hit me. Now it's his word against the other guy's word. So do what's right, because you never know. You may be in a situation where you say, oh Allah, help me. But then do what's right, so Allah will help you when you're in a difficulty. And there is a hadith for the Prophet ﷺ. Somebody asked him, what is the best type of jihad? Jihad, a lot of people misunderstand the word jihad. Everybody, because the Western media use the word jihad, that it means battle, fighting, killing, and all of that. In Islam, that's not the meaning. The meaning of jihad means doing extensive effort. Extensive effort for the sake of Allah. Whether you're fasting, whether you're behaving, whatever. But that's what in Islam means. That's why when a person is tired, in Arabic they say he's mujhad, coming from the word jihad. That means he exercised a lot of effort that he became tired. So he was asked, what is the best type of jihad? So the Prophet ﷺ said, the best type of jihad is speaking a true word in the presence of a tyrant ruler. So this is the highest level. Say what's right in front of a tyrant ruler. Not, you know, if you look at all the Muslim countries, one of our biggest problems today is everybody around the rulers are telling him, you're a genius. You're the best. Whatever you say is wisdom. It should be written in books. And some of them, they take their speeches and teach them to children to memorize in schools. And it's junk. But that's what it is. Just imagine if everybody said the truth. Our condition in the Muslim country would have been different. But everybody around, they say the wrong thing just to get benefit in this life. And there is a hadith for the Prophet ﷺ. It says, whoever amongst you sees an evil, he must change it with his hand. If he's unable to do so, then with his tongue, with his word. If he's unable to do so, then with his heart. And that is the weakest form of faith. So when you see something wrong, you see a kid beating another kid, if you can stop him, do it. If you can do something with your hand, do it. If you cannot, for sake of discussion, the guy beating the other guy is somebody as big as Arnold Schwarzenegger and he's too big, then at least say a word. You know, that's not fair. Come on, he's a little guy. Why are you beating him? If you can't and you know there will be harm for you, then at least your heart should be angry. Your heart should be rejecting it. And this is the weakest form of iman, of faith. And remember, everything that I said from the beginning of the khutbah, the key thing is do not put yourself in harm. Do not. This is the priority in Islam. Don't put yourself in harm first. So you don't say, the person who gave the khutbah, he said, go and do this, so you go and do something and get yourself killed or something. No, that's not Islam. You do not put yourself in harm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. And do not make your own hands contribute to your destruction. So do not do anything if you feel there would be a harm for you, then don't do it. But reject it with your heart. Be angry with your heart. So being safe is number one. So when there is election coming in November, don't say, I'm not going to get involved. Vote. Look what's good for the community and vote. Do something. Speak up. You have a chance to change. Look at what's best for Muslim. Who is going to help the Muslim? Anything. Do it. Don't sit back and say, I don't want to get involved. And the key thing, change your behavior. That's the first thing. Because if you want to change the community, people look at the way you behave. If you're behaving good, everybody will try to copy you. But if you're behaving bad, unfortunately, a lot of people will copy you as well. So do what's right. And that will be, inshallah, will make our community the best community, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين استغفروه إنه غفور رحيم.